Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another spoiler discussion for the finale. We don't know if it's a series finale or season finale of The Man Who Fell to Earth. This is episode 10. If you have not seen the episode yet, go ahead and check it out on Showtime. It's available right now. And then come back to our spoiler discussion because we're going to break down pretty much everything. So, as you see right here, from what we remember from the very first episode, it led up to this moment that they're actually revealing what's going to be the play. What are they going to do? But before we even got there, Faraday, Justin, and Thomas takes them outside, starts having a conversation with them, a real conversation, and then they actually see the spacecraft. So now they finally know what Thomas has been doing, and everything kind of gets revealed in Utmost. And I think this was one of the first promotional pictures that they gave, which is a huge spoiler, but we didn't know the context behind it. But yeah, what's going on, Lucas?
Nothing much. Again, I'm just going to point out that somebody thought Justin and Faraday was going to get together.
They
by the end of
did,
this.
but they did. But they did. I mean,
did they?
Yeah,
Did they?
Yeah.
Is that
Look,
what you thought that was?
That's all I wanted. All I wanted to some recognition
Hold up.
that this man's got legit. Like now when I say I never said that he was gonna just be in a whole relationship because I didn't know how that was gonna work. I felt like he was gonna die realistically, but I knew that there had to be an acknowledgement this man's got feelings for this girl. And vice versa. Now she had been kind of putting all this, but I kind of was like on your coattails, like, okay, he's telling her what he's here, but I was kind of like, even like listening to Thomas in this episode and having a real conversation with Faraday, he even admitted, like at a certain point, like he fell in love with these humans. That's what was his downfall. Now it was kind of like, what does that mean for him and Justin? I was kind of like, because a lot more focused. Like he loves their family. He loves her little girl. He loves her dad. And I was kind of like, he was waiting and circling to it. And it was kind of like, yeah, he really truly loves her. Now, what that means, I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. But I wanted to admit that. That was what I was talking about.
But no, you thought they were going to be in love. He is not in love with her. He loves her. And we know that's a completely different thing. Not even remotely close. The point that he's still doing all of this only to bring his family back. That's his only goal. His goal ain't to be with her. His goal ain't to be with her daughter. His goal ain't to start a family. His goal is very simple here. And again, he said it like when he left. Like the goal is for me to bring my family back here. I'm going to do whatever I have to do to bring my family back. But this is what I was talking to about from episode 7, when they had the episode of him break it down, attempting to explain to his wife what he sees humans as being.
Mm-hmm.
And keep in mind, if you pay attention to that conversation, this ending makes perfectly good sense for what he believes humans are.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, him and Thomas, those are completely different instances, because Thomas fell in love with humans through addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Faraday fell in love with humans through love, because that's all he's experienced from them, really.
Right.
Unlike Thomas was never in this environment.
Oh no!
So Thomas' interaction with humans was always cunning, deceiving, and drug or alcohol filled. That's that. So both of their introductions, and they're both introductions into what it means to love humans, are completely different.
Yeah. And it's also interesting. I know it's a weird segue, but the fact of how Faraday got picked out by Thomas, I thought that was very fascinating. Like how he had come across so many different drones, and like this one drone, like legit had a real question, and kind of like had his own opinion about the circumstance. And he kind of alluded that from that point, like he kind of looked at him like a surrogate son, which is fascinating because, I mean, again, I don't have any point of reference because I didn't see the original movie, but I feel like the framework for all this is very poetic. It's very interesting how Faraday was selected by Thomas, and technically Faraday superseded Thomas in certain instances. We'll talk about that a little bit later on and how that all panned out. But his love and devotion, well, both of them, like it's really kind of a father-son kind of thing, which is very fascinating. I didn't see that being the overarching. I didn't think that that was going to be the case. I didn't.
It,
So that
it
was
leaves certain
interesting.
questions because that means that for Thomas to feel that way about Faraday, it almost comes across as that Thomas met Faraday before he left for Earth.
That's what. That's what it looked like because that was the flashback,
But
right?
then, boy, does that bring questions from the show. I'm only going to focus on the movie, and I'm not going to bring the questions from the book because that will bring way more questions on how that was humanly possible. But it will bring questions on what made him even ask Faraday anything in that question. It's at times it's and it's good to do it. You can take liberties with your source material as long as the liberties make sense. The
Yeah,
liberties here made sense. For anyone who saw the movie, it could throw you off a little bit because then you would understand the thing, person, whatever Thomas was. And caring wasn't the first thing that ever popped into your head about anyone. But here it is showing he had some form of caring slash emotion.
right. Most definitely.
So
Um,
it's just a little bit odd, but it works because again, it's good to take liberties with material and not just give you a by the numbers reboot, remake, whatever. Because that was always the fear I brought up in the first episode of me wondering: Are we going to get a by the book retelling of this? Are we going to get a by the movie retelling of this, or are we going to get something completely different? And here we got retelling slash sequel slash everything humanly possible here.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so the moment that he shows Faraday and Justin the ship, Thomas is
Mhm.
like, look, this is what's about to go down. And Justin's got questions. Justin's like, so wait, your plan is to make everybody just like my dad, to not have a soul. And Thomas is like, look, y'all will be able to live. You'll be okay. But like if left up to all, if we leave it as normal, everybody's gonna kill each other. And so he was like, look,
Mhm.
this is the best possible way. And Justin in confidence, she couldn't agree with it. She couldn't do it. And the fact is that Faraday, he kind of like didn't go against
Thomas?
Thomas at that moment either. Like he was kind of like, well, this is the options that were dealt. At least y'all will be alive, kind of thing. Which he changes his mind a little bit later on. But I don't. I wonder if like what you
I'm,
alluded to was that more manipulation
I'm
to
about to
kind of
say
get what he
it.
wanted.
It didn't seem like he changed his mind at all.
Well, no,
It seemed that
he said he now he could be lying, but he said that I'm not gonna do what Thomas wanted. I'm gonna do this my way, and I'm gonna find a way of bringing them back, and at the same exact time, not making everybody drones. That's what he kind of alluded to towards the end.
no. I thought he said bringing them back, meaning bring everyone back, because Thomas' goal was not to bring a single drone back with him.
Right, right,
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
true,
I
true. He
thought
did say that.
Faraday Way was only pertaining to how he was going to attempt to bring everyone to Earth instead of doing what Thomas's plan was, which is basically we're going to pick a select group and
Yep.
we're going to bring them back. I can't bring everyone back because I think Faraday already kind of told her when she saw her father, like, yeah, this is where we're going. Like, it's in all honesty, if we think about it, and this is the philosophical meanings of the book, the movie, and this show. If human beings are left to their own devices, they'll destroy everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, is it a bad thing that when they come back, everybody turns into her father?
I
It
mean,
leaves that philosophical question: like, is it is it is it a good thing if we got to the point where you thought about the good of all instead of the good of yourself, and it led to the betterment for everyone?
I mean,
What are you willing to sacrifice for survival?
right, and that it went back to an amazing scene with Justin and her father, where her father was like, "Look, I know you think you hate this man. I know you think what he's saying, but he's got a plausible plan here. And for the time we have left, like let's spend it together. But look, like, you know what you're supposed to do. You have to progress forward for your daughter, for us. And I thought that was a really interesting because the dad kind of was like, look, the amount of time that I had in the way that I did was so much more valuable, even though, it ended the way that it did.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my thing about it. If it was a reality that there's going to be a season two, and they hypothetically speaking came back 7 years or 8 years or whatever, I felt like you have to be able to give some people a choice. Like if everybody is kind of like, yeah, y'all are going to be drones, then I don't think that's going to fly from a humanity standpoint. But if there's like, okay, there's an option. Like, I want to be a drone. Like, I want to be underneath your regime. I want to work underneath the service agreement for your version of the military or something like that. I want to serve this way. Then I think that having a choice would be interesting. But if everybody's being made to do that, I couldn't get behind that. I wouldn't want to put that.
Welcome to the greatest dilemma ever. Because if you give people a choice, what do you think happens? That choice, I think the show is basically informing you that giving you the choice has put you in a situation as you are now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Taking away the choice is the only thing that can help you survive.
Yeah.
So I don't think it would be a situation where they're like, okay, let's give people a choice of what they would like to do. Name a person who's going to say, yeah, the drone life that's for me. No one's going to say that.
So this is the thing. Say you're a paraplegic, and
Mhm.
you don't have any use of your bodily functions that you normally would have, and somebody
Mhm.
said, well, look, you're going to be able to retain your motor functions all over again. You're going to be smarter, quicker, but the end all is going to be you're going to be subservient to your own emotions. Would you want to do that? I think some people would. And the other side of that, from a financial standpoint, like, if there's some people in a poor status and they're like, look, we'll get you food, we'll get you economic status, we'll get you this, you'll have money. Like, I think somebody legit, like, if they spin it a certain kind of way, I think some people would. I really do, because there's always somebody that'll ride that coattail, so to speak. That's just my opinion, though. I really feel like there's some people that'll be
You notice
desperate
that you
to
you
do it.
you you would have to pick people who are destitute, is what
Yeah,
you're saying.
absolutely.
But I can tell you now, if I went to someone and say, "Hey, I can kill you, or you can be a drone," what you gonna pick? It's always better by force,
So this is
and
the thing.
that was Thomas's point.
Yeah.
Technically, we don't have to give you a choice. What is the point of us giving you the choice? You're going to do this because, and in all honesty, we're in this show. They're based in a climate where the world is ending in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Do you at that point have the time to give people an option? Because the longer you draw it out, the more irreversible the damage becomes. Unfortunately, and it's portrayed in this show brilliantly to me, the more time you give humans to correct things, the worse things get.
Yeah.
Because to be human partially is to be selfish.
Yeah.
And on this show, we see a lot of people making the most selfish decisions humanly possible against the greater good,
Yeah.
including Justin at times.
Oh yeah. No, for sure. She's done that multiple
So
times.
I think that's one of the running themes of this season has been, um, what are you willing to give up to save everything? If you hear the conversations between Justin and her father, a lot of it is, what are you willing to give up for this? When
Yeah.
she first met Faraday, it kind of was, what are you willing to give up for this?
Yeah.
And that's the running theme of the show because, again, humans are humans. They're going to react a certain way. So even when we get at the end, when we get to the interrogation scene
That was freaking
between
dope. Oh my gosh.
Finch, Faraday, and everyone else, if you notice, it was the same thing. What are you willing to give up for this?
Yep.
Like, I can give this, but again, it was a selfish decision made. All he said is, I can give this to everybody. In a couple of months, America won't be a superpower anymore.
Yep.
You know how selfish of a decision it is to make and say, okay, we care way more about maintaining our status as the world leader than it is to save the planet. No thought came in mind about what this can save. It came in mind of what power we can control.
Right.
And I think from that and from their reaction to it, and Thomas giving Faraday the best advice in the world, which is learn to lie. Learn to tell people what they need to hear.
Yeah.
Because it leaves that ambiguity in the air of, did he tell Justin what she needed to hear? Did he do to her what she needed to have done for her to be or become more accepting of this happening? Because in all honesty, what they're talking about is an alien invasion coming to Earth.
Yeah.
And they made it sound so good. Like, this is definitely what you want. You definitely want these aliens here. No, you don't.
So that's the weird thing, though. So it's kind of like in 2 years they're done anyway. But if the aliens do come and then things are conditionally made, then there's a point of survival. It's like, again, we're going back and forth with the situation. What's the lesser two evils? You have these aliens come and you possibly become drones, or you just die to the situation. But that whole interrogation joint, that was hilarious to me, because this lady, she was like, she just knew she had them. She was like, oh, you're gonna get this. Like, you don't have any options here. Her boss was looking at her like she was crazy. They sitting there plotting behind her, and they were like weighing the options. And like when they let Hatch speak on what could happen and weighing the odds, I was like, this is awesome. Like, I loved it, because Hatch was like, yeah, this isn't gonna work out for anybody. So you figure it out what you really want to do. And then he made Hatch, over Edie to take care of the portion of the company. And then he made Justin the CEO. Did he make her CEO?
No, he split the company between both of them.
Oh, yeah.
But right. If you think about it, even there, it's an extremely selfish decision. Like, Faraday didn't do a good thing. What he did was play against the ego of humans. Why would it be a bad thing if everybody got this technology?
Oh no, it would be a good thing. I think it would be great.
It would be the best thing in the world if everyone had that technology. But what did he do? He played to the psyche of humans, which is
greed.
You all don't like the shit. Humans are toddlers with toys. They don't like sharing with other toddlers. Right. And because they don't, it puts you in this situation. So I think he had that discussion even before sitting with them, like, I know how to play this. I literally have to play them against each other. That's the only way this works.
Yeah.
And then everybody in that interrogation room, I mean, it's an awesome scene to see what happens with Finch. And you're thinking, hey, like, Faraday's doing a great job of like picking with her, and look at her fall apart. He picked and played with everybody in that room, including Justin and Hatch, because he gave you what you needed to hear. He took away options for you. Technically, at that moment, wouldn't you say everybody in that room was operating like a drone but him?
I mean,
he took away your options.
I think everybody but Justin. I think Justin has the full realization of what's going on, but she's still going with the program.
I'm about to say she reacted just like a drone would. He gave her logic and she went with it. I think that's what drones do. You give them logic and they'll go with it. So she put concerns to the wind and went with the logic of the situation, while understanding the impact of if this actually happens. Because I think that's the key. Another key part is that drones understand what could happen, but they go with the logical way of doing it, because that's the way Faraday operated. He understood the consequences of everything, but he went with the logical approach to everything, down to the way he was early in the season telling people how to sleep. And it's like, oh, no. You can operate this way. Like, yes, eventually your body will break down, but that's fine. So let's operate this way.
So I'm going to ask you a real question. So are you saying that by the time Faraday comes back, and if we get a second season, he's basically going to be the dictator? That, the way that we saw him maneuvering people around while building machine, and the way some of the things we've seen his duplicitous nature at times, that's who he's going to be? Like, do are you saying that he's kind of like the
I'll,
antagonist at the
I'll just
same?
tell you. I'll tell you this. Everything changed for Faraday after he was told he needed to learn how to be human and learn how to lie. Everything changed. His entire approach changed when he got told that. That's not a coincidence that it changed when he got told that. I know it looks rosy to people, but literally this is the pattern of what his race, his race of people should actually do. It is so much better to get you to believe in me when Thomas said you have to become more to them. And he was 1,000% right. And since that moment, Faraday has done everything possible to become more, become what you need me to be, because you'll follow much easier if I do it this way.
Okay, so I'm gonna do this because I see where you're going with this. I'm gonna believe that a part of him, even though he's not human,
Not
I
at all. Not a little bit either. Not even a little bit is he human.
I I I, I, I feel like a part of him is going to try to not go that route. It's logical, it makes sense, but I guess the optimist in me is gonna. I want to believe the good that he can possibly
Oh
do.
man, hey,
I think
that's
that's
what
the
makes it.
thing.
That's what makes it great because that's exactly what his goal was in the show. Is that he needs you to literally they line it up for you and then they deliver it, and then we feel like, oh, he's the perfect hero here. And it's like he was literally told this. The show progressed, and it was told that he had to become this to change humans' minds because he had to be a certain way. He becomes that way, and along with the humans on the show, the people watching it actually think the same thing. They become like, oh man, he's going to save everyone. Yes, he's going to save his race. From every iteration of the man that fell from the man that fell to Earth, it is about an alien bringing aliens to this planet to save their race at all costs. And that's what Faraday did here.
I'm just gonna.
Don't worry about it. No,
I'm,
don't worry about it. Again, that's why you do. That's why I don't look at the sing the don't look at just the last couple of episodes. You got to progress what the character was told through the entire season. And
yeah,
then when you notice, they did a beautiful job of showing us what he was in the first episode.
mm,
At the end of the season, what he would be, and we
mm,
see the progression of it happening. So then
yeah.
we got to notice the progression, and we got to know what was the key point that everything turned for Faraday. What the optimist in most people would believe is, oh, he loves that family, so that changed everything. And it's like, no, it literally changed when he was told. You need to learn how to be more. As Thomas said, I brought you here because you had to go through this to learn to be more human. You had to learn to lie. And the moment he learned to lie, everything changed, including Justin understanding he was lying. I think it was when he first learned to do this, when he touched her knee,
Oh yeah,
and she
yeah.
said, why did you do that?
Mm-hmm.
That was the first form of manipulation that Faraday did.
Yeah.
And for me, after that moment, it continued because he understood it had to happen.
Yeah. So the very first episode, like you said, that monologue that he had, that he was saying, well, some people would say I'm an alien, some people say I'm a monster, some people say I'm a manipulator, a deceiver. He said, and he concluded it even in this one, like it's all true. He said openly, like everything that you think that I am, that's exactly it. Um, Even down to the way that the government tried to shut him down, and
Mm-hmm.
he still unveiled it anyway, and it still didn't work. And Edie got pushed out. So the Edie Hatch arc of this is really interesting how that concluded out. Because I kind of thought Edie was gonna legit kill Hatch, um, but she didn't. And I was curious your perspective why she didn't, why she kind of just like not folded, but she kind of just let it go, kind of thing.
Because she understood everything that she went through to get to that point. and the monster she had become to get to that point. And at that point, is it really worth it to continue?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, no matter what she fought against, it was a reason her father thought Hatch should take over the company.
Yeah.
And she did everything to fight the inevitability of Hatch being that person until it got to the point where he becomes that person. So once he becomes that person, what's next? There's nothing else to fight. And I think that was Edie's realization there. Like, okay, there's no need to continue to do this. In all honesty, the company at this point is completely saved. What besides yourself, what are you fighting for?
Right. Right.
And I would say something else, but then you're gonna really look crazy at me.
I was gonna ask you one.
Edie is the only human in this episode that made a logical decision, void of emotion. She's the only one in this entire episode, the only human that made a logical decision. When she decides not to do anything else after that, because it's for the greater good of everything, what is there to do besides my greed kicking in? There's literally nothing else for me to make this decision for. Because Edie no longer has an emotion. She has no emotional ties to anybody.
Yeah. Oh, that was the other thing. The cop, not the cop, but the FBI agent that was detailed to Clay, Justin, picked her to be her security detail. So now, not only do they have the backing of the CIA to protect them, but she's got that girl at the spearhead of all that, which is fascinating how they ended that up. But my question to you is
considering why Spencer chose her from the beginning. Like, I think so many people have forgotten why he chose her from the beginning.
Right.
Like, what did he say? You turned on your entire family. That's why I chose you.
Right. So it's interesting how that ended up. But my question to you is this. When Thomas sent Faraday to Justin and Hatch, did Thomas plan all this?
Yes.
Like all of it? Because the reason why I asked that question is because even down to, them having that conversation and Faraday basically giving Thomas over to the government, I guess. I don't know where he gave him over to, technically. They didn't really show. But it led me to believe that they offered up Thomas. Right.
Which, if you think about it, why would they at this point?
That's what I'm saying. Like they can't cross Faraday, and Faraday owns everything at this point.
It literally makes no sense. So, but because they're so emotionally connected to Thomas, they pursued him while giving up the person you really needed to keep. It made no sense when he said, "I'll give you Thomas." Why does it matter at this point? In all honesty, he could have said, "Why does it matter at this point anyway?"
Yeah.
Everything we needed to have happened, and it's still going to happen. Thomas's goal is still going to come to fruition.
Yeah. So, do you think that was like at this point? Thomas was like, "Look, I've done what I need to do." Because it was the reason why I asked that question is when their last moment, when Thomas was getting up, he was kind of stumbling. It's almost like he felt like he was dying, possibly. And I was kind of like, maybe he was like, "Look, I did everything I needed to do. I finished my race. I'm good. Like, whatever you need to do with my body, it's it. But this is gonna be done," kind of thing.
And what would you think they would do with Thomas's body?
What do you mean? What?
They're not gonna dissect him. Why? You just gave another alien permission to bring thousands of Thomases to your planet.
Right.
So what was the point of it? Except you're not making a logical decision. I like, to me, for this last episode, that the running theme was watch people not make logical decisions. The moment you decided we're gonna let one alien leave to bring back more aliens because we want the first one that did it. What? Why would I care?
Right. He's got an engine. He's got a ship. He's got a ship with the means to bring more people back. Like, he has full understanding of our infrastructure. Our infrastructure is about to change. Yeah.
Faraday actually reaches the goal of what Thomas's character goal was in the movie and in the book.
Right.
He's literally about to attempt to reach that goal, which is to bring his race of people back to Earth. That was Thomas's only job. But what happens if I don't think I'm going to be able to complete this job? And or I intricately put together a plan where the job gets completed and it may not be by me. But who cares? Thomas is still, no matter what, Thomas is still the same alien. He has a goal. That goal has to be reached.
So you know what? That's an interesting point. I know we gotta end because my son's waking up. It's time. The way that I think about it is time. So it's like he already had the ship created. He already had the infrastructure done. He already had picked out Justin and Hatch. He technically could have done this all himself. Technically, like, but
he was wanted, so he couldn't.
Right.
So he brought someone else in that could.
Right. And so he had the gaps filled in. But what I mean by time is that he may not have been able to do that in the amount of time that he had to live. And I'm curious to think if, like, all right, well, this is either his initial plan to begin with, or this was what is like his fallback. This is backup to make sure this can go through smoothly.
I'm going to say the way Faraday goes about this episode and the conclusion we get at the end of this episode was literally Thomas's plan from the beginning.
That's crazy.
So that is Thomas's plan from the beginning, and Faraday is actually doing what Thomas's mission was.
That's crazy.
Why would you want Thomas?
That's crazy.
Except for this other alien did exactly what Thomas told him he had to do. Learn to not lie and manipulate people.
Yep.
And he manipulated us enough, including the audience, so the goal of Thomas was reached. And all he did was give you someone who no longer even mattered. And you pointed out at the end, did it seem like Thomas cared?
Nah, he did not. He did not. And I was trying to figure out why he had those Buddhist people there as well. So I was like, you know what? Maybe he knew all this was about to go down. So he wanted like a little bit of peace and levity.
Keep in mind, like, Thomas is also blind. Thomas is crippled because of what humans did to him. I mean, we don't talk about it. They showed it in the beginning clip early in the season of what happened when they experimented on him.
Right.
That's why he's blind. That's why he's all of this stuff. So why not have another plan? I mean, a logical person wouldn't go into something with one plan. You would clearly have to be able to pivot to the other one.
True. That's true. So yeah, it's been a great run, ladies and gentlemen. I've had a lot of fun with this series. I've had fun dissecting it, breaking it down. The acting has been amazing in it. Like, the science fiction side of it is amazing. Like, I recommend this almost to everybody. And I mean, my last question to you, Lucas, so we can finish this out. Will there be a season 2? Or is this it? And if it is it, are you satisfied with it being it?
I actually don't think it needs to be a season 2 because I wouldn't want to see what happens in 7 years. I'm not interested in what happens in 7 years. So I would hope it would end here because, again, here it leaves those philosophical questions unanswered that I think would be great to leave unanswered. But I want to say I think there is a season 2 already confirmed, not 100% sure. But I thought it was a season 2 confirmed. But I'm just wondering where does it pick up off of? Like 7 years from now?
I definitely feel like it's gonna be with the older little girl. They're gonna if there is a season 2, it's gonna be utilizing the daughter because he's always focused in on her from the beginning.
For the
I don't know why.
It's the way she thinks.
Yeah. So
she thinks like the race that Thomas is.
Right.
So I think that's why he's always focused on her. But again, if we get a sequel, it's going to turn into alienation. We've seen that show. Don't need to see that again. At least not in this format. But, I would hope this ends here. And this show taught me an important lesson that I hope everyone learned. Boy, I can never trust you humans if alien invasion comes because all they got to do is be likable and you'll let them take over the planet.
Oh my gosh. I would say the power of love triumphs, but I can't in good conscience say that because I am a realist at the same time, and this is very dangerous situation that they put themselves in by
Oh
letting this
man.
man literally do everything in the free world for these past 10 minutes. But
All humans got to do is fall in love with people, and boy, you let them do whatever they want to. The moment you fall in love with them, oh, this is funny. Oh,
but
this is a great show. That's just it.
it
Let's
is.
end at that point. This
It
is a
is.
great show.
Yeah.
Please check it out if you haven't seen a single episode.
Yeah. If you need anything else, go watch it. This is the time to watch it. But we'll be
Binge
back.
it. All episodes are out now, so you're good to go.
We got a couple different series coming out really soon, so stay tuned, guys. Peace.
Filing out the top of the
I can see the skyline, 50 mile radius on my timeline. Ain't nothing